Today I'm continuing to look at the wines made by the Casteja family through their and marketed through their company Borie Manoux. They own a number of chateaux throughout Bordeaux, and this is Lynch Moussas, which is a fifth growth from Pauillac. This is the 2019 vintage of that. So Lynch Moussas was originally part of a larger property called Comte Lynch, which lies inland from where Mouton Rothschild is today. And in 1835, the two parts of this property were split. One half became Lynch Moussas, they kept the chateau, and the other half became Lynch-Bages. Both were classified as fifth growth in 1855. And the estates sit largely on the Bages Plateau, quite a flat area at the north of Pauillac, as I say, slightly inland. It's an area that is actually, because it's flat, it doesn't suffer from frost much because there are no pockets for the frost to sit if it arrives. The estate, as I say, was split in 1835, classified in 1855, but then in 1919, that was when the Casteja family bought it. So it was the first of their current estate investments. The soils here, very typical Pauillac soils. They're quite deep gravel over a bedrock of limestone. The estate is largely planted to Cabernet Sauvignon. It's about 3/4 planted to Cabernet Sauvignon, and the balance, the other 25%, planted to Merlot. This particular vintage saw a blend of 77% Cabernet Sauvignon and 23% Merlot, so they don't deviate particularly far from the encépagement of the vineyard. The wine is made by the same team who make Chateau, and as you can see from the fact it has a special red label, this is in commemoration of the 100th vintage under the ownership of the Casteja family, and they've introduced the embossed bottle as well. Normally this has a more yellowish label with quite a simple depiction of the chateau on it. As I say, a wine that's predominantly Cabernet Sauvignon. The maceration will go on in vats for 2 to 3 weeks, so not a massively long maceration. Aging following the completion of malolactic conversion goes on in barrel. That'll go on for 18 months. It occurs in French oak barriques, about half of which will be new and the balance of which will be second fill barrels. So quite a straightforward production for a Médoc wine from Pauillac. So looking at it, firstly we have quite a deep dark colour. I can only just make out the stem of the glass looking through it, so it's virtually opaque. Swelling it, the wine has 14% alcohol. It is quite readily throwing some tears on the glass. That would also be the tannin content as well as the alcohol content. Of course, it's completely dry. So let's have a look at the aromas and see what we make of those. Now, 2019 was quite a ripe, rich vintage, and actually the nose is quite restrained. I'm getting some notes of sort of maybe slightly dried leaf, forest floor. There are coffee notes probably from the barrel aging, but actually there's just an underlying red plum to prune sort of note. So not the sort of the lifted black curranty Cabernet that you might expect from a less ripe vintage. And as I say, probably at a stage where it's a little closed. Let's have a taste. It's quite firmly structured, probably medium, maybe medium to full-bodied. wine, and it is being given a bit of roundness and richness by its 14% alcohol there, which is also lifting out some of the sort of the sweet spice, the cedary notes of the alcohol there. As I say, it's quite structured. That structure is relatively grainy, sort of suggesting that those oak tannins coming to the fore. There's more of a sort of a red fruit style than a black fruit style. So this isn't classic Cassis Cabernet Sauvignon. This is much more red currant, maybe cranberry, but with the freshness, red plum perhaps, and perhaps a little tiny touch of sort of over maturity, slightly raisin, slightly prune sort of notes in there as well, developed aromas, slightly high toned flavours. Yes, there's a certain bitterness as well as structure to the tannins, and that's quite a mouth-watering bitterness. I suspect the wine's going through a slightly dumb phase at the moment. I think that the fruit will probably open up to overwhelm that. Just at the moment it's showing the oak features perhaps a little starkly. Having said that, the acidity is giving quite a long, fresh finish. Again, that's more of a sort of red fruit note. I'm thinking red currants there to an extent, and maybe a touch of red plum. So that was the 2019 Lynch Moussas from Pauillac, a wine from the Casteja family when they're celebrating their 100th anniversary at that property. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you'll be able to like and share it with your friends. I hope you'll leave us some comments. Let us know what you think of either what we're saying or what you think about the wines. Do please follow us on YouTube. That'd be a great boost to our follower numbers. But most importantly, I hope you'll be able to join us again for another tasting sometime in the near future. Goodbye now.